All right, well, good morning, everybody. If we can please stand and sing together. Number 19, The Sun That Shines. The sun that shines across the sea, the wind that whispers in the tree, the lark that carols in the sky, the fleecy clouds are sailing by. Oh, I'm as rich can be, for all these things belong to me. The raindrops which refresh the earth, the springtime mantle of rebirth, the summer days when all things grow, the autumn mist and winter snow. Oh, I'm as rich can be, for all these things belong to me. The task well done, the fun of play, the wise who guide me on my way, the balm of sleep with each day ends, the joy of family and friends. Oh, I'm as rich can be, for all these things belong to me.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Was the foot race over? Did any of you have trouble getting here? No problem. All right, good. There was an early morning parade of runners this morning that blocked off the road, so we got a little bit of a late start, but glad that that's not the case for you. Glad to have you all. Welcome, as always, to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or, as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Welcome, everyone, to this space. We're so glad to have you and embrace all that you bring with you, your unique beliefs, background, lifestyle, experiences, differences, all that helps make you who you are. And this includes those of you in the room with us, those of you who might be joining us for the first time today. We're glad to have each of you. And of course, those of you who are live streaming with us this morning, we're glad to have all of you as well. So welcome, one and all. Let's see, do we still have an announcement up there? I think Todd's going to put it up for us. Yes, the extension for receiving donations to our annual community auction has been extended to the 15th. This is one of our large fundraisers of the year, in which I should say fund and fundraiser, because it gives us an opportunity to share some of the knowledge, the wisdom, the resources, whatever it is we have. It might be a stay at a cabin, or a class on a subject on where's Lynn at, maybe beekeeping and getting a jar of multi-million-dollar honey at the end of the season. All sorts of things that you can donate for folks to bid on and then take advantage of. So if you would think about that, and please, you can go on to the church website at uuspokane.org and fill out the form and let us know what your donation is, and then we'll have the auction soon thereafter. So, yeah. Oh, and then after today's service, there is the monthly. Does it happen once a month? Am I remembering? The monthly poetry sharing circle, and that's at 12:30 in the chapel. So, feel free to attend that as well. All right, yeah, that's all I have. So now that you all are sitting comfortably, please get up. and say hi to one another this morning. Okay, good. Yep. Okay, more time as always to hang out with each other and visit during our social hour following the service, so please stay for that. Before we light our chalice, this just in, hot off the press. You can tell the ink is still wet because see how curved the paper is? Yeah, hot off the press. Okay, so this looks like fun. This is a Halloween jam concert that is featuring our own Richey Thomas, Jackie Sandberg, for those who know Olivia Brownlee, who's also performed here, Bob Marlowe and Dan Lane, who's also performed here. Costumes are strongly encouraged. It's happening Thursday, October 30th, right? The night before Halloween here at the church, 6:30 p.m. There's beer and wine available for a suggested cash donation of $5 each, and there's also non-alcoholic drinks and light snacks and that sort of thing. But again, costumes strongly encouraged, so I'll leave this up here so you can pick it up and look at it after. Oh, there's some on the table back there, so you'll know about it. So that sounds like fun. Thank you for letting me know about that. We'll let that dry right there. And now we are going to move forward by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
Good morning. Our opening words this morning are a bit unorthodox. Reverend Todd's sermon, The Inconvenient Path, will refer to the old joke, if you find a fork in the road, take it. All I could think of was this familiar nursery rhyme, hey diddle diddle, the cat in the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon and left the fork in the road. Todd will speak about how we should not always take the easiest or most convenient path. There is a lot to be said for following an unconventional or difficult one.
Okay, let's stand and sing together, Do You Hear? And it's 112 in your hymnal, or of course behind me. Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the heights on the plain, in the vale on the main, in the sound of the rain? Do you hear, through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush? Do you hear in the hush of your soul, Hear the cry, fear won't still, hear the heart's call to will, hear a throng in a way, thrill your soul in your soul.
We'll now kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning. And want to begin with a candle on behalf of Ingrid Carlson. For those who remember Ingrid, she and her partner Barbara McKay used to attend the church pretty regularly. Ingrid, they've not been able to do so for some years, and Ingrid has been had some declining health for some time and passed away this past week. So we want to kindle a candle on behalf of her light in life, as well as on behalf of Barbara and their family and friends who are grieving her loss at this time. Also want to kindle a candle on behalf of the people of Ukraine and Russia and that region of the world suffering from the war and the violence there, as well as the people of Israel and Palestine who are suffering from the consequences of the devastating violence that has transpired there. Hopefully that's coming to an end, but the suffering will be there for quite some time. Also for the people of Darfur and South Sudan suffering from the war and violence and displacement and hunger in that part of the world. And of course, here in the U.S., on behalf of the many frightened immigrants, or people who look like a certain kind of immigrant even, that are facing fear and discrimination and even violence and arrest at this time. Let's take a moment of silence on behalf of those that you might be thinking of, and you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
thank you very much for this beautiful music. It's time for Stories for All. And not only for children, but for adults also, because adults also were children sometime, right? Kids, if you want to come closer, you're welcome. If you want to stay there, you're welcome too. It's up to you. It's your choice. Fork in the road, you know. Choose your fork on the road. Aye, beautiful. Wow, lovely. And you know what? When I was a child, I didn't have many books. There was no TV. I heard a story. Of course, it was back in Russia, and the story was in the Russian language, but I will tell you in English. So, the story was about dreaming big, taking risks, and maybe something else. But I want you to tell yourself after you hear that. Once upon a time, there lived a frog who had a strong desire to travel. On one of those boring, cloudy days, the frog was sitting on a piece of wood by the pond, daydreaming. Migratory birds usually used that place as a stopover for resting and refueling. As it happened many times before, the frog heard a chorus of cries and honks. A flock of ducks was landing nearby, and the frog heard the leader say, "It may rain today, you know. We have a long way to go. Let's have a quick snack and continue our journey." "Wow, sorry to bother you," apologized the frog. "I'm curious, where are you going?" Flapping their wings and interrupting each other, the birds explained to the frog they were going to a warmer place where there's plenty of food in the pond. "Oh, how exciting," said the frog. "May I join you?" "We'd love to have your company," responded the ducks. "But you cannot fly." That was true. However, the idea of flying was very tempting, so less in a minute, the frog came up with a very simple solution. So the frog looked around and found a foot-long twig. She brought the twig to the ducks and said, "Look, here's what we're going to do. Two birds need to hold on to the stick's opposite ends, and I will bite on its middle. This way we'll be flying together." "Quack, quack, 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 what a brilliant idea," cried the birds. "And it may work indeed if we change every couple of hours and carry you without quack, quack, quacking." Then two of the strongest ducks volunteered to be the first. They launched the frog up into the air, with the rest of the birds joining them. The scenery below was so spectacular. It took the frog's breath away. "I am flying," thought the frog, stretching her legs like wings. The frog was thrilled. She felt proud of herself, hearing the birds behind praising her intelligence. Pretty soon the ducks began to slow down, flying low over a village. And now the frog could see a group of children below. The kids were pointing up to the sky and shouting, "Look, look, the birds are carrying the frog. How very clever of them." "Wow, it's not them, it's me," exclaimed the frog, and down she went. Luckily, the frog plunged into a shallow pond. Emerging from the water, the frog began telling the local inhabitants about her brilliant idea. She also bragged about visiting faraway places, saying the ducks would take her for another journey next season. Do you believe it? Let us sing our kids into their sanctuary.
As we move into our time of meditation, I invite you to find a comfortable, receptive posture. Close your eyes if you wish, and take several deep and calming breaths as I lead you into the silence with these words from my poem entitled Elbow Room. I'll read it twice. Elbow Room. Silence allows for a spaciousness which gives thought elbow room to turn around. Silence allows for a spaciousness which gives thought elbow room to turn around.
So this is just another pop song with just the right message that fits the sermon. Note. What's the starting one? All right, here we go. You got a fast car, and I want a ticket anywhere. Maybe we'll make a deal, and maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. Yeah. You got a fast car, and I got a plan to get us out of here. I've been working at the convenience store. I managed to save just a little bit of money. I won't have to drive too far. Just cross the border and into the city. You and I will both get jobs, finally see what it means to be living. You see, my old man, he's got a problem. He lived with the bottle, that's the way it is. He said his body's too old for working. His body's too young to look like his. So mama went off and left him. She wanted more than life than he could give. I said, somebody's got to take care of him. So I quit school, that's what I did. Well, you got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? Still gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way. So I remember when we were driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. Well, you got a fast car. We go cruise and entertain ourselves. Still ain't got a job. Work in the market as a checkout girl. I know things will get better. You'll find work and I'll get promoted, and we'll move out of the shelter, buy a bigger house, live in the suburbs. City lights lay out before us, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. I had a feeling that I belonged, and I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. Well, you got a fast car. I got a job that paid better. Thought maybe together you and me would find that I got no plans, I ain't going nowhere. Take your fast car, keep on driving. So I remember when we were driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights lay out before us, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. I had a feeling that I belonged, and I had a feeling I could be someone, could be someone, could be someone. Well, you got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? Still gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way.
Thank you both so much. You've put me in such a relaxed mood, I don't know if I can speak. I'll do my best. That blanket of gray sky out there and that soft music and reflective song just make me want to sit quiet for a while and reflect. But I won't. So, despite the title of my sermon, I want to start off talking about something kind of strange, and that is the concept of infinite worlds, which, believe it or not, goes all the way back to the Greek philosophers, the early Greek philosophers, like Anaximander and Leucippus and Democritus, and then later Epicurus and Lucretius, who are considered the first atomists because of their belief that reality is granular, that is, made up of tiny atoms. And these early philosophers discovered almost everything that modern scientists had to rediscover after nearly 1,000 years of stagnation during the Dark Ages. And it wasn't until 1957, it's a long time, that physicist Hugh Everett proposed his many-world interpretation of quantum mechanics. The idea that every quantum event with multiple possible outcomes causes the universe to branch into different universes, with each outcome occurring in its own separate world. Now, the hypothesis is more complicated than I can understand, and it is not universally agreed upon, but many physicists do consider it a likely explanation of what really happens. Right? You all remember the story of Schrodinger's cat, right? This is taken very seriously. Now, I'm a believer in an infinite number of worlds for another reason, because philosophically, the concept of nothing leads me to believe that existence must be without end. And I know being without end seems almost as incomprehensible. But nothing, by definition, refers to nothing, right? To nothing that exists, not even to entirely empty space. Empty space is not nothing. Therefore, existence cannot be confined within any sort of boundaries in which it comes to an end, beyond which nothing exists. Nothing cannot exist. But this doesn't mean that it is therefore necessary for there to be parallel universes existing in other dimensions, although there may be. I mean, in some ways, how can there not be? What else would exist? Nothing. It can't. So that part gets crazy. But because our universe is so incomprehensibly vast, our universe is so incomprehensibly vast that it's mathematically reasonable to believe there are countless worlds within it, not only countless worlds within it, but countless worlds similar to ours. And not only similar to ours, but exactly like ours, right down to copies of ourselves who are living our exact same lives. And some versions of us who have made different choices and are living very different lives. In his book, The Physics of Immortality, physicist Frank Tipler explains that a human being of a mass of 100 kilograms, about my size, cannot change state more rapidly than about 4 times 10 to the 53rd power times per second. Right? 4 times 10 with 53 zeros behind it. Every second sounds like a huge number of possibilities available to us constantly throughout our lives. But as Tipler says, that number is finite. And on a cosmic scale, in an endless universe, it's a minuscule number, which means the chances of there being other versions of ourselves peppered throughout the endless universe are not only possible, but probable. It's mind-blowing. And that there are so many possibilities before us every moment of our lives could immobilize us if we gave it much thought. How could we possibly determine the best choice out of 4 times 10 to the 53rd power options? Fortunately, we're not able to comprehend most of those options, which makes the choices before us seem rather limited and at least manageable. Imagining that whatever choice we do make will lead us to branch off into another world altogether is also an overwhelming thought. Making the wrong decision could thrust us into another world without us even realizing it. I keep wondering what idiotic choice I made to end up in this bizarro reality where Donald Trump is leader of the free world. Where did I go wrong? It wasn't part of my plan, I promise you. And this is really the main point that I want to make. That we can never know for sure where our choices will lead us because we cannot comprehend all the possible states before us. Maybe someday, sooner than we can imagine, a quantum computer will be able to do so, but right now it's not humanly possible. We may make what we think are the best possible decisions, yet, as chaos theorists suggest, we might, like the flap of a butterfly's wing in Brazil, begin a chain reaction that someday leads to a tornado in Texas. Many of us have lived the best lives that we can, or tried to, the best lives that we can up to this point. We're having done our best to be kind to others, to live by and promote the values that we most cherish and believe in, seeking justice for the oppressed, caring for those in need, protecting our environment, advocating for nuclear disarmament and a more peaceful and inclusive world, doing our best to seek and understand and accept what is true and what is real. And yet, here we are in this world where there is injustice and cruelty and poverty and war and global warming. Where along our journey, did we branch off into the wrong direction? Sometimes we can retrace our steps as individuals and collectively to figure out where we went wrong or might have gone wrong so that we can learn from our mistakes and make course corrections. But sometimes we never look back. We just keep trudging forward along the wrong path, believing we're doing the right thing, making the same errors in judgment, unable to face the past, let alone to turn around. And that's the point. In life, we have to make decisions. We have to proceed. When we come to a fork in the road, we have to take it, even though we can't entirely see whether either choice will ultimately lead us to the right place. And a fork in the road obviously may not be the best analogy because in reality, as I've stated, there are many paths before us, far too many than we can possibly grasp, far too many outcomes than we can possibly grasp. We can only do our best to determine what path looks best. And ultimately, we must make a leap of faith into an uncertain future. So that's step number one. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. I think Groucho Marx said that originally. Sounds like Groucho. But base your next leap of faith on your best educated guess. But don't allow the uncertainty of your choices paralyze you to the point that you remain stuck in the same place, going nowhere, spinning your wheels. Life is growth, and if we stop growing, we are as good as dead. Choose a path and go for it. It may seem like your choices are very limited, but as noted, there are countless possibilities before us, some unforeseen and some seen. But some of the unforeseen consequences of our choices may end up actually being the most rewarding of them all. Have you ever had that happen to you? Positive surprises in life? positive outcomes. So take the leap. Go for it. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with but a single step, but you'll never get anywhere if you don't take that single step. Step number 2. Turn around if necessary. Humans, like all creatures, are creatures of habit. We tend to stay the course no matter how unproductive or even wrong that course turns out to be. This is the fundamental reason that global warming isn't being adequately addressed today, because there are too many people who want to continue doing what they have always done, no matter how apparent it has become that the path they've chosen is leading to a dead end. It's the wrong road. Our ideas and our beliefs about the world are real paths etched into our brains called neural pathways. And this is why even our thinking becomes habitual, and why we can't kick our bad thinking habits. Sometimes those neural pathways become pathologies because we're addicted to them and to the false feelings of certainty and meaning that they give us. Yet if our paths, including our neural pathways, are leading us toward a dead end, we ought to simply turn around before coming to a crashing halt or the edge of a precipice. Now that's much easier said than done. There are ideas around today, for example, that are thousands of years old and are obviously false and untrue and impossible, especially ancient religious beliefs that remain central to the lives of most people living in our modern world. They are worn out ideas still being worn into our brains. Yet we have the tendency to cling to even the newest ideas, the newest beliefs, once we claim them as our own, and then have trouble admitting that we are wrong or that they are wrong. Even when it becomes obvious that they're wrong. We would rather deny the truth. We'd rather reject reality. We'd rather attack those who prove us wrong, like those living in Plato's cave do to the man who has stumbled back into their dark world to help lead them into the light. It takes fortitude to admit we've made mistakes, that we've wasted time, that we've been wrong and we need to turn around. Maybe even go back to the beginning and start over, start anew, start fresh, with the added benefit of having grown and learned from our past. Step number 3, simply change course by choosing a new direction. Many years ago, during the wedding reception of a friend, some of his other friends began teasing him about what a mess he'd gotten himself into and all the henpecking and other marital cliches that he had coming. Now, as a modern man with a modern solution, I interjected. Don't worry. If it doesn't work out, you can always get a divorce. Now, the voices of his other friends came to an abrupt halt. I felt as if I had spoken taboo amongst a group of primitives who felt I had cursed their marriage before it even began by daring to utter the word divorce on their wedding day. Admittedly, there was a time not too long ago when there was much stigma around being divorced, but it hasn't been that way for a long time. Today, I congratulate those who get married, and I congratulate those who get divorced. Divorce right? Some of you know this is among the most difficult choices that anyone can make. Couples who have spent years together, who often still love each other, find that they have grown apart or need to be apart, and they choose to go their separate ways. They branch off in new directions, creating new pathways. And as a minister, I know that this is one of the most difficult choices anyone can make, even as obvious as it needs to be made. No matter how difficult their marriage has become. But so far, when I say congratulations to the newly divorced, they smile broadly and say thanks. You deserve it. That's a hell of a decision to make, and to make it. A lot of people don't. Changing directions when the path we're on is no longer working is always hard, because instinctively we rather keep repeating our familiar habits, remaining stuck in a bad relationship or a meaningless job or unhealthy behaviors or stupid beliefs, than to risk the unknown. So hard as it is, change your course when necessary, and congratulate yourself when you do. Incidentally, my friend, who now lives in Tennessee, is still married after 25 years, and we speak to each other almost every week. So much for my witchy ways. The final step I'll mention, the last of only 4 steps I'm covering out of 4 times 10 to the 53rd power of potential states. And the one I want to spend a little more time on is when you come to that fork in the road, consider taking the most inconvenient path. Our instinct is to embark upon the most obvious and inviting path, the one that has already been well worn and established by others with the clearest and most alluring view of the comforts that lie ahead, and that has the fewest obstacles in our way. But I have found that the most rewarding paths are those less traveled, those with difficulties to surmount and challenges to overcome, those overgrown with thickets of brambles and briars and ticks and those yucky spider webs you don't notice until they're already stuck to your face, upon which you don't notice the mosquitoes until it's too late, and have slippery slopes and steep uphill climbs with no idea of how far it will continue or where you'll end up. And I'm not suggesting that you take on unnecessary difficulties and challenges just to prove your mettle. That's not the reason to do it. But just as you can't go grocery shopping at the convenience store if you want to have healthy food, or stay healthy by driving through a fast food line whenever you feel hungry, many, if not most, of the best choices in life are the inconvenient ones. They take time and effort, and they require us to take risk and make sacrifices. Al Gore's Academy Award-winning documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, for example, is aptly titled because it asks us all to face the difficult reality and challenge of human-caused climate change so that we can change our course. But doing so will be inconvenient, to say the least, which is why many, especially Republican legislators and politicians, still deny this inconvenient truth, so that they don't have to kick the ideological and behavioral habits that many of us, regardless of our politics, are addicted to. And this explains why they are called conservatives. Pride themselves on this term. Conserve coming from the Latin word meaning to preserve, keep intact, guard, maintain, stay the same, Don't change. Hold on, cling. Sadly, they are working to conserve their destructive habits rather than to conserve nature and its ancient ecosystems. Conservatives aren't about conservation, not anymore, not since Nixon or Reagan, if you will. They just keep pretending that they actually believe climate change isn't happening, that it's a hoax, and those of us concerned about it are religious wackos. Pretending because they can't seriously believe that. And in the process, they're forcing the rest of us to have to go along, some of us kicking and screaming as we all get closer to the edge of that cliff at the end of their dead-end road. The primary cause of climate change today is no longer human action, but human inaction. The liberal-minded, on the other hand, are more inclined to take the risk necessary to move our lives and our societies forward. Progress doesn't just happen. It requires risk, effort, difficulties, losses, and lots of mistakes and failures during the slow and uncertain trudge forward. The word liberal comes from the Latin word, of course, meaning liberty or freedom. And that's why liberals, who are about conservation, oddly enough, are liberal. Because we are driven toward progress, toward making the world better for all people. And such progress is made by liberating ourselves and others from the bad ideas and habits that are holding us back. And this is why being liberal is inconvenient, because it requires a lot of letting go. And it requires a lot of letting be. We let go of the conveniences that make us feel comfortable and safe. And we let others be. We let others be so that they too are free to question those ways and to think for themselves. And through such innovative thinking, right, thinking for ourselves fosters innovative thinking, we then start to discover new truths and better ways that are able to move us forward. Easy isn't on the list of concerns that the free mind considers when embarking upon a new journey. The free mind rather holds only to a few principles, very few principles, that can apply to almost all circumstances, to all situations we find ourselves in. 2,300 years ago, in response to the ruin of Greek civilization after the Peloponnesian War, the Greeks longed for the sense of happiness, eudaimonia, good spirit they called it, and tranquility, ataraxia or apatheia, that they knew back in the good old days when Athens was considered the greatest civilization on earth. And that's when philosophy shifted away from trying to figure out the nature of truth and reality to what it means to simply have a good life. And the shift began with Socrates. Socrates said, "Know thyself. The unconsidered life is not worth living," right? He was saying, let's get into ourselves. And why wouldn't they, right? Their external world was in ruins. It was never coming back. I imagine this is much like what the Gazans are feeling like today, those who've returned home. How can we ever be happy again? We've lost all this. We've lost our loved ones. We've lost our friends. We've lost our way of life. Well, Socrates, we got to go inside. We got to find something in us that can make us happy, because it ain't out here. So you can understand where they were coming from. I disagree with Socrates here. I think philosophy should focus on physics and reality and truth, and that Socrates created self-help, which is good. We need self-help too, but I think there's a difference. But nevertheless, this idea of figuring out what's going to make us happy, what's going to give us lift our spirits, eudaimonia, so that we have a good spirit again. It led first to the emergence of cynicism, the belief that happiness requires us to return to a natural way of living by rejecting the many conveniences of civilization. And some of these people really, they walked around naked and slept outdoors in the wintertime and tried to live like animals. So it's pretty crazy, but you can kind of understand it too, right? If you can't trust that civilization is going to be there and civilization is going to support you, maybe we should try to live without that. Again, maybe there's a lot of people in Gaza right now feeling that same way. Maybe this would be a viable way. Let's not ever depend on civilization again and live like the rest of the animals do. So that was the first thing that emerged, cynicism. And then in response to that came its opposite, right? Its antithesis, hedonism. And that's the notion that pleasure ought to be the basis of all our decisions, that we should do what makes us feel good. And these ideas, I think very interesting, are parallel those of Prince Siddhartha, who is said to have realized both along his path toward becoming the Buddha, as an ascetic who rejected all pleasures, or actually at first I would think it was an aesthetic who indulged in all pleasures, and then an ascetic who eliminated all pleasure from his life. And then, like the Buddha, the Greeks also eventually discovered a middle way, and that middle way is called Stoicism. And for the Stoics, the good life isn't about acquiring it's not acquired through suffering or pleasure, right? Through being ascetic or an aesthetic, but by being indifferent to both of those, not caring about either of those. And this led to the invention of what was called virtue ethics by Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, who taught that living according to our virtues, which today we call values or principles, ought to always be our priority, no matter the consequences to our own lives. Doing so may sometimes lead to our own pleasure and sometimes may cause us to suffer, but for the Stoics, that point is inconsequential. Abiding by our virtues is what's important. Zeno considered wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, or moderation, the greatest of all virtues, but during the Renaissance and then the Enlightenment, philosophy took another turn, leading us to recognize that other virtues, if you will, values, principles, are even more fundamental. Fundamentally is human dignity, right? The categorical imperative of Immanuel Kant, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, which is maintained through societies that promote freedom and reason and tolerance. And these virtues, values, principles, or whatever you want to call them, are the only essentials that you must carry with you along your journey through the inconvenient path of life, or through life's inconveniences, if you will. They're all you need to navigate through its many ups and downs, through its pains and its pleasures, through its rewards and its losses. Remember that ethics comes from the Greek word character, and character refers to those qualities about you that remain true in all circumstances. It's the part of you that you can trust to always be there and always behave in the same way. Your character is the part of you that adheres to your most cherished and guiding principles, no matter what. Having such character is what allows free minds to be free, because they know that we can embark upon new directions and never get lost or leave behind anything that we can't live without. because what they most need is always with them. It's within us. It's within them. Their character is their compass. So you can't get lost. With this as our guide forward, we need not be paralyzed by concerns of making the wrong choice, if there is such a thing. Maybe it's just the choice that we made. Or to worry that the path ahead will be too difficult, or whether it will make us rich or impoverish us. We need only to come to the fork in the road and take it. Turn around if necessary, branch off in new directions, and cherish the inconvenient path before us most of all. Thank you.
Okay, if you can please join me in singing Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. And I give thanks to the waves upon me, hail the great winds urging me on, leaning over the edge in wonder, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Our benediction is adapted from Julia Jamaica Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to truth, that we are greater together than we are alone. Amen, blessed be, salam alaikum, and shalom.
I was thinking this morning, I gotta get a costume, and I think maybe a pirate. Well, Nancy, she's got the Nancy, it just fine. Those are pretty good. It was the first beginning of my costume. Yeah. There you go. I'm gonna be a Grim Reaper, I think. Got an old Soviet. I think it's from the Soviet Union. It's an old site. Really? Yeah. Cool. So, you mean it's actually an antique? Yeah. Original, authentic. Yeah, it's kind of rusty, but they also have another scarf like this. Oh, yeah. Thinner, so it's like a black t-shirt. I think we pull it together. If somebody gives you some trouble. Right, you just take out the side. Like, you don't even want it. You don't want a piece of this, seriously? You don't want